Hey, police officers, stop raping people. Seriously, there are literally police who raped people they arrested for protesting. And now the American Civil Liberties Union is suing them to defend the constitutional right to not be raped by a cop. Here's what happened. Back on the day Donald Trump was inaugurated, that sad, dark day, a bunch of protesters, journalists, and legal observers were rounded up by the cops because some jackass in the crowd decided to break some windows. The cops immediately doused the entire crowd in pepper spray, as well as dropping concussion grenades, and then kettled the entire group of 230 people. Now I'm going to go out on a limb and guess that not 230 windows weren't broken that day. So it's impossible that all of those people were engaged in property destruction or rioting as they were accused by the cops, especially the news reporters and legal observers, who also happen to be attorneys. I'm betting they didn't break any windows. So essentially, they're punishing a whole group of people for the alleged crimes of a few individuals, which, by the way, collective punishment, not only unconstitutional, it's also against the Geneva Conventions and international law. Additionally, it was reported that, quote, the suit charges that an officer stuck a gloved finger into detainees' rectums about an inch deep and then wiggled it around, yanked on their testicles without warning, barked commands not to flinch or resist, and laughed about it, all the while with the other officers present as he, quote, moved down the line and then subjected 4 others to the sexually humiliating treatment. The officer did not change gloves when he moved from one individual to the next. Wait, you just stuck your finger up some guy's butthole and then came over to me without changing gloves and stuck it in mine? That's disgusting and illegal, like super illegal. The MPD responded to the lawsuit defending the officers' actions and claiming that they respect protesters' First Amendment rights. For the record, the First Amendment has no claims about anal penetration by police officers, but it does say quite a bit about our rights to peaceably assemble, which is how the Founding Fathers referred to political protests. One protester who witnessed the events on Inauguration Day said this, quote, the charges on J20 arrestees are a form of political persecution. 99% of the protesters were nonviolent and obeying the law. The violent police officers shot us with rubber bullets, beat us with batons, sprayed us with mace, and detained us unlawfully. At one point, a dozen activists held up our hands and shouted, hands up, don't shoot. And then the police proceeded to point guns at us, shoot us with rubber bullets, and spray everyone with mace. Police violence against protesters and citizens must come to an end. And the police chief in charge, Peter Newsham, the only officer named in the suit, he also happens to be the guy who previously lost the city millions of dollars in mass arrest lawsuits for, guess what? Violating the civil rights of citizens. He also happens to be a wife beater. You can Google it. So here's the deal. The cops aren't going to police their own behavior. That's why the ACLU takes cases like this to court, to get rid of bad cops like Newsham. They're also not going to stop shooting innocent citizens like Philando Castile until killer cops go to jail for murder. So we need to establish nationwide rules of engagement for police officers with standard punishments for civil rights violations to put a stop to the assault on American citizens by the people who are supposed to protect and serve us. Those rules should include things like prohibitions against anal rape when you're in police custody, respect for people using their First Amendment rights while protesting, prohibitions against pulling guns on unarmed civilians, and mandatory unpaid suspension when police kill a citizen in cold blood for no reason. There's probably a few other things we should put in some legislation. So give us your ideas for what should be in legislation, creating national rules of engagement for police officers. Put it in the comments. We'll pass them on to some of our friends at Black Lives Matter and members of the Black Caucus in Congress. I'm Ryan Clayton. This is Content News. Come back daily for the news where we're free to share the truth.